We usually reserve the word intelligence for beings with brains. Humans, dolphins, maybe even octopuses. But in recent years, that definition has started to change. A quiet revolution is taking place in biology, and its roots are, quite literally, in the forest. Many scientists now refer to a surprising concept: plant intelligence. Not because trees are conscious in the way animals or humans are, but because they demonstrate behaviors that suggest perception, memory, adaptation, and even decision-making, all without a single neuron. Let's begin with perception. Trees may not have eyes, ears, or skin, but they are constantly sensing the world around them. Through specialized proteins and cellular receptors, they detect subtle shifts in light, temperature, humidity, gravity, soil nutrients, and even airborne chemicals released by neighboring plants. In fact, a tree can know which direction the sun is in, how dry the ground has become, whether it's under threat, or whether a neighbor is being chewed on by a hungry insect. That's right, a tree can sense if its neighbor has been attacked, and it will react accordingly. This awareness gives trees an astonishing ability to adapt. For example, if a young sapling realizes it's in the shadow of a larger tree, it may adjust its growth pattern, not randomly, but deliberately, elongating its trunk more rapidly, redirecting branches toward a light gap, or pausing lateral growth to conserve resources. That's not passive growth, it's reactive growth. Growth with strategy. This brings us to memory. Yes, trees seem to remember. Not like we do, of course. There's no hippocampus in the trunk. But on a cellular level, trees can record past experiences and change their behavior based on them. A tree that has endured a drought may respond more quickly the next time water becomes scarce, closing its stomata sooner to conserve moisture. This isn't just physiological, it's learned resilience. In some experiments, researchers found that trees primed by stress in earlier years showed better responses in future seasons. They were more efficient at producing defensive compounds, faster to react to shade, and even more cooperative with fungal partners. It's a kind of biological conditioning, a forest wisdom coded in cellulose. Let's consider decision-making. Trees have a finite amount of energy, and they must allocate it wisely. Should it go toward growing new leaves, sending sugars to the roots, investing in seeds for reproduction, defending against pests, or strengthening their fungal connections? These aren't random choices. Trees prioritize, sequence, and sometimes delay actions based on both internal needs and external cues. This ability to make adaptive trade-offs is a hallmark of intelligence, even in its most primitive form. One remarkable study showed that pea plants, not even trees, could predict where light would appear in a Y-shaped maze, choosing the path where they had previously encountered light. With no brain, no nerves, just pure responsive biology. Now scale that up to a 100-foot Douglas fir, and you begin to understand how complex the mind of a forest might truly be. Even reproduction in trees is filled with strategic timing. Some species engage in massed seeding, where all trees in a region release their seeds in a single burst every few years. This overwhelms predators and ensures more seeds survive. But what's fascinating is how trees know to synchronize. It seems to be a combination of stored energy, environmental cues, and, possibly, chemical communication. It's not conscious in the human sense, but it's definitely not random. At Infinity Beyond, we celebrate the strange and wonderful boundaries between science and wonder, and this is one of them. Tree intelligence blurs the line between biology and what we might call behavior. It asks us to rethink life, not as a hierarchy with humans at the top, but as a web of living, learning systems, each operating on its own timescale. Of course, the idea of intelligent plants was once dismissed as pseudoscience. Early researchers in the 1970s who proposed it were often ridiculed. But modern molecular biology, combined with advances in ecology and neuroscience, is painting a more nuanced picture. No, trees don't think. But yes, they do respond, remember, plan, and adapt. And that's a kind of thinking, just not the kind we're used to. There's something deeply humbling in this idea. While we build supercomputers and AI, forests have been running slow, organic algorithms for hundreds of millions of years. They adapt without urgency. They learn without lectures. They coordinate without meetings. And they do it in a way that sustains entire ecosystems, and ultimately us. So the next time you're near a tree, pause. Gently press your hand to its bark. Realize that you are in the presence of a being that senses you, even if you can't perceive it. A being that has seen droughts, storms, and fires, and survived. A being that is part of a community, rooted in memory and awareness, reaching for the light in more ways than one.